Hello everyone, thank you all for tuning in into today's discussion. As you are aware, we've just recently started our financial education series, and this is actually the second week for our discussion. And I hope for those of you who have actually seen the video, I hope you enjoyed every bit of information which was shared. For those of you who haven't seen it, please feel free to go back and look at our first series in the week one, where this whole topic started. So that way you can get to keep yourself, informed or abreast with how far we've actually come. But you haven't actually missed a lot, so which is fine. So all you have to do is just look at the first series, okay, which is for the first week. So this is the second week. I will start by introducing myself again for those of you who are actually coming across me for the first time. My name is Pascal Uchenna Enodin, and I'm actually the presenter and the host of this TV station, and also the presenter for this topic, financial education. So I hope you enjoy yourself. So last week we had a definition of what financial education is all about. Just a quick recap. We said financial education, we give a brief definition, which is how we make, budget, invest, and spend our money. Okay, that was the definition. So today we're going to actually be starting out by looking at what we call an income statement. Okay, as you can see here on the screen, a vivid example of what an income statement looks like. And there's something I'd like to emphasize here, please. When it comes to financial statements, I don't want us to think that it's only companies that have to deal with financial statements. No. We as individuals, we as people are expected to have our own financial statements. That way we're able to keep track of our money, of our expenses. Because remember, from the definition of what financial education is, it's the study of how we make, budgets, invest, and spend our money. So a financial statement will help us understand this. Okay, now if you look at the statement here, there are two sides, which is the left side and the right side. And if you look at the left side, to the top here, that says income. Okay, so let's go back to the definition. It's a study of how we make, okay, budgets, invest, and spend. So the study of how we make, okay, as we progress, we'll understand that more. Where we're going to be talking about the kinds of income. Okay, so for now, we'll find out that the income comes right here, which is how much you make at the end of the month, be it as an employee of a company or be it as a business owner. When you make the money here, then you come to your statement here. As you can see, the two sides, which are the asset column and the liabilities column. So, budgeting. Once the income comes in, this is where the individual is expected to do the budget, to say, okay, how much am I going to be allocating to my asset column and how much is going to be allocated to the liabilities section. All right. So, why do the rich keep getting richer? And why is it that for average people they keep experiencing financial difficulties? This is the reason why. The income statement explains it all. Okay, so let's start from the asset column. All right. First, on the asset column, you have a business. Yes, it's regarded as an asset. Okay, because something which you build from the scratch without value at its inception. Okay, with commitment, dedication, innovation, perseverance, and a foresight, you're able to build an enterprise from zero to something. which is why we have the likes of corporations today, such as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. These are companies, Facebook, which we have an inside knowledge of how these companies actually started. Most of these guys were actually dropouts, Harvard dropouts. Okay? They dropped out of school, had an idea, and ran with it. And today, the likes of Amazon and Apple are one of the biggest corporations we have in the world today, with a market value of over $1 trillion. These were companies that started with nothing. So tell me, if Apple was to sell itself as a company today, or let's just decide that, okay, the shareholders of the company wish to, liquidate the assets, or the directors, the board of directors, or the CEO or something, what do you think is going to be the value? It's going to be huge, considering the fact that these companies have actually grown up as well and claimed the market share. So that's the reason why a business falls into this assets column as well, because a business can be sold. Okay, and if you look at the likes of people like Richard Branson, they will tell you that they have vested interest in more than 200 companies. Not just the likes of Richard Branson, but also the greatest investor of all time, the sage of Omaha, Warren Buffett. These are individuals that invest in companies. Likes of Warren Buffett, what they do is they buy companies. They buy it and they take control of the management. Yes, and that's how it's done. Secondly, we look at stocks. This is where individuals set money aside to invest in companies that are looking for money to expand their operations. Yes, that's why companies go to the stock market, because they go to the stock market as a means of raising money by selling stocks to the public. So once an individual buys a stock, for example at £1, and over a period of time that stock increases in value from £1 to £2, that's an asset that have grown in value. And when they want to sell it, what happens? There's a difference, which is the profits. Okay? Now we go to houses. These are where real estate investors come in. These are people who buy properties or who build properties. So they build properties from nothing, and it gets, upon completion, is being sold for something. Real estate investors will tell you, look for something relatively cheap, buy, hold, and over the period of time, you can then sell. That's why, if we're to have a look, just to have an idea what I'm talking about, look at the price of houses 10 to 15 years ago and compare them today. The difference is clear. Why? Because of the appreciation and value of house prices. The same thing is applicable to lands, not just lands, commodities as well. And one of them is gold, which is one of the ways the rich have used to preserve their wealth. What do I mean by preserve? Wealth preservation. Wealth preservation. Imagine you buy a piece of meat, okay? And this piece of meat, you just drop it on the table in the kitchen for a couple of days. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to lose its value. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad, and you end up putting it in the bin. The same thing is applicable to money, because money loses its value. If it's not being used for what is expected of it, it loses its value. So how do they preserve the value of money? By investing in gold and investing in commodities. Gold has stood the test of time ever since the birth of Christ, even before the birth of Christ, BC. Gold has always been an integral part of man, a source of wealth. Because those days, if you did anything, you were paid in gold bars or you were paid in gold coins. Gold was actually used as money until its rigidity, because of the rigidity, or rather not just the rigidity, the complexity, enabled man come up with the idea of, okay, what's going to happen is we're going to come up with another new monetary system, which is why the gold system was no longer used, and why money is being used to pay. So what happened is they buy gold, they buy whatever X value amount of money that they wish to invest, they buy it in gold and they hold it over a period of time. And after that time, it preserves the value of what you have. And the next investment column has to do with currencies. This is where individuals buy things such as foreign currencies. Okay? So, that is the asset column. So, this is what actually separates the rich from the poor. Because once the rich have money, they spend majority of their money on this part of our income statement. Then, when they spend money on this side, guess what happens? They now make enough money to be able to take care of this side, which is the liability section. Okay? So, why do the poor keep getting poor? One, because once they make their income, all they do is they focus everything on this aspect, on this side of the column, which is the liability section. Alright? That's why you find some people, once they have a good job, once they're entitled to some good pay, guess what? They take on more stuff. The poor like stuff. They like buying stuff. Things with no monetary sense. Things that take money out from their pockets. For example, credit cards. When you take out a credit card, the system which the credit card works is on compounding interest. A credit card bill of £250 can grow, can multiply up to £10,000 if you're not careful. Why? Because of the system in place. The credit card system is there to keep you in debt, especially if you don't know how to use it. There's what you call good debt and there's what you call bad debt. A good debt is when you borrow money and invest in the asset column to grow to make you more money. That's why you should know whatever it is that you're doing in the asset column. Okay? Now, a mortgage. Yes. It's a mortgage actually a liability? Yes, it is. Why? Why would I say it's a liability? Because it takes money out from your pockets. The house don't belong to you until it's all paid off. The house belongs to the bank and not you as an individual. If you want to find out, don't pay your mortgage for 6 months. Then you find out what happened. Then you get to know who really owns the house. Okay? Yes, fair enough. During the lifespan of the business relationship between yourself and the bank, if your asset actually grows in value, then you can flip it. At that time, you can choose to make the decision, okay, do I sell or do I hold it? But as long as you keep making your monetary payments every month, then that's not a problem. Next is bills. Of course, utility bills. You have to pay for your bill. Electricity, gas, water, telephone, internet, all this have to be paid. Debts, money owed, borrowed funds from people, insurance, your council tax, your road tax, VAT, personal effects, holiday, and miscellaneous expenses. Can you see? All these are things that are just waiting just to take money from your pocket, to take money away from you. In a nutshell, how would you be rich if all you're doing is you're working to pay for liabilities? So, what is the objective of financial education? We'll get into that critical part here where financial education plays this role. Financial education is there to help you transcend or change that mindset. That it's not all about liabilities. That we need to start having that passion for wanting to invest in the left assets. Remember what I said. This program is here to help educators know what steps to get to take, especially when it comes to financial matters. I'm not saying you're going to be the richest person on earth like Jeff Bezos. I'm not I'm not saying that, because at the end of the day, if you implement the steps which we're actually sharing, I bet you that you would be above average. As long as you understand and appreciate the importance of the left column of the financial statement. So, how would we now understand if an individual is financially independent or dependent? So this is how you do the calculation, okay? So you come down here, okay? That's the income, the assets, the liabilities. So financial freedom means that assets, okay, are more than your liabilities. That equals financial freedom. But if you want to know where you are, if your liabilities are more than your assets, then you need to evaluate whatever it is that you're doing. Yes, you need to reconsider the steps or the decisions you're making, if they're actually the right ones. Because if they are actually the right ones, then you should be working on this side. But if your liabilities are more than the assets, please take the time back and consider what steps to get to take, so that you can experience a life of financial freedom. So as you can see, financial statements are not just for companies, but for individuals also. And that is one of the steps which you need to take once evaluating your financial circumstances, to know, okay, where am I today? Am I making enough income? And if I'm not making enough income, then I have to do something else to help me generate more income, so that's where I can become financially free. So, back to, if you remember earlier on when we started, I said we were going to be looking at the kinds of income. Okay? So, with the kinds of income, let's look at one. Earned income. So what's an earned income? This is the kind of income that is worked for, and in return you get paid what is called a salary. This is what majority of the population do. Remember the 80-20 rule, where 20% of the population provide job employment for 80% of the population? Yes. Where do you want to be? 80% or 20? I prefer being in the 20. Remember, in my last episode, I told you about the kind of mindset I have. I got the mindset of a billionaire. That's how I operate. And it gets to that point in time when you understand that, you know what, a decision has to be made to awaken the sleeping giant on the inside of you. So whoever it is that is listening today, is your giant asleep? Is your giant sleeping on the inside? I'm imploring you today, awaken the giant on the inside of you. There's so much that we have to offer. And if we don't do anything about it, then our talents are wasted. So, the second kind of income is what you call a passive income. This is the kind of income generated from rented properties. Well, not just rental properties, because there are other forms of businesses as well that gives you a passive income. And this is the kind of income that is being paid on a monthly basis, generated, even without you doing anything. You've done the work. After doing the work, you just sit and the money comes in. Thirdly, we'll talk about the portfolio income. This is the kind of income generated from stock. Okay, this is when you invest. Usually these are called dividend paying stocks. You know what a dividend is? No problem. As we progress into the series, we'll talk about all this. So that way the foundation for building up that knowledge is laid. Okay? And lastly, you have the residual income. This is the income that is generated through network marketing. Your income grows exponentially as your business grows. For those of you who don't know what network marketing is, network marketing is a business system used by companies to reward individuals who go out there to help sell their products. Referrals, okay? Because what's happened is most companies are finding that the best form of advertisement is referral. Yes, the TV ads, that's all good. But it's different when Pascal is referring a particular product to Michael, and when Michael is referring a particular product to Anderson, the word of mouth. Because these people have actually used the products and they love the product and they are willing to share their experience with their friends. Yeah. So I hope all this makes sense with the kinds of income. So that way you can begin to make a conscious choice. What kind of income do I want for myself? What kind of income do I want to spend the rest of my days working for? Is it the end income, the passive income, the portfolio income, or the residual income? At least now you have a choice. Now you have that understanding of what kind of income for you to begin to go after. So, our path to wealth. So what is the secret to wealth creation? What is the secret to wealth creation? I said something earlier on. If you work for any of the FTSE 100 companies where you're paid above $1 million a year, or the Fortune 500 companies, good for you. But even when you still find yourself in such a position, you still need to be financially educated. Okay? So there's no missing the facts. Even if you make loads of money, you still need to know how to manage your money correctly. So, having said that, our path to wealth is by one, owning a business and building assets. So why have I said this? Because when you own a business, your income is not capped. There's no limit to how much you can make. I like to buttress that point. Let me say it again. When you own a business, your income ability is not restricted. With innovative ideas, you could build up what you call multiple streams of income. Where you have this business working for you, you have this other business working for you, and all of them generating money for you. That's how you create wealth. And once you're able to build up this income, then you're now able to channel it towards assets. Okay? That's where you now invest in things such as stocks, such as lands, properties, even patents. So you see, having said all this, I hope we can understand that decisions have to be made. See, that's it. If it's something that we're going to be spending 50 to 60 years of our lives working, we then know what we're working for. If you're not equipped enough, you take out the time to educate yourself more, which is why programs like this are available on the internet. You take time to invest in yourself. You take time to educate yourself. You take time to take yourself to the next level. Always remember that you can crush that mountain. Just do whatever it is that you're passionate about. What do you love doing? As Nike would always say, just do it. In us is potential. In us is power. We're limitless. We are able to achieve anything that we want as long as we put our minds to it. What is your passion? What is your drive? What is that thing that you're looking forward to get to achieve for yourself in your life? Whatever it is, stand up, be bold, and do that thing which you love doing. Thank you very much for tuning in into today's message. And next week, we'll be uploading, we'll continue again on this series on financial education. But for today, I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much and have a blessed day. Bye for now.